Hey YouTube, welcome back to the shop. I'm working on the Ford Bronco tonight. I wanted to bring you guys along and show you a little thing I found. I don't know, the jury's still out whether or not these are any good, but I bought the cheapest stainless steel headers I could find for a Ford 302. They're not specifically for a Bronco. I think they might have been for a Mustang, but even then I don't even know if they would fit any 302. I got them, they were $98 on Walmart. So here they are. Surprisingly, the build quality seems pretty decent. Like the welds all look pretty nice, and you know, the bends are all well done and everything like that. I was actually pretty impressed at how they looked, really. But that's about as far as they go, is that they look pretty decent. They don't fit very well. So almost none of the bolt holes line up quite right. They're close, but they're all off by just enough. Like you can see in that one there especially. So they all need to be slotted slightly. And then there's some clearance issues that's going to happen here. But like I said, these weren't specifically for a Bronco. So I knew going in I was going to probably have to do a little bit of machining or some welding to get these to fit properly. And then if I take my magnet here, the flange here and the flange here are magnetic. Now they're mildly magnetic, so they may still be stainless. The tubes themselves are not magnetic at all. So that tells me that it's at least a decent quality stainless on the tubes because it's non-magnetic. The flanges may be a lower quality stainless and it is magnetic, so they may rust over time. So they need to be modified slightly. I think I've already got what I need to do it here. A little bit of 3-inch stainless tubing left over from another project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the flange off here. I'm going to weld this 3-inch bend on, something along those lines, and then re-weld the flange on this end. And that'll get the passenger side header out of the way and around the bell housing. That way there it'll clear the starter and everything else, and then there's tons of room right here for the exhaust to be routed. And then on the driver's side, it's actually contacting the bell housing slightly. I don't know if I'll be able to show it on the camera or not, but right there, it's actually, well, I guess it's not the bell housing, but the back side of the motor that it's touching just slightly. So I think what I'm going to do is same thing. I'm going to cut this flange off. I'm going to weld a piece of 3-inch tubing on there, extend it maybe about 2.5, 3 inches downward, and then weld the flange back on. That'll give me clearance on both sides, and then I can get going on the exhaust from there. I'm going to get set up on the mill, slot the holes on those headers, and then we'll go ahead and cut the flange and get the flanges extended so that we got clearance everywhere. Okay, I'll show you guys where we're at as of right now. So you watched me set them all up. I slotted all the holes in the mill. I had the slot of about 50 thousandths, 60 thousandths of an inch in both directions. That's how bad they lined up. So far the cheap Walmart headers, bolts don't line up very well. That's not a big deal. I mean, I did it on my mill. You could do it even with a carbide burr. Definitely not a game changer yet. So here we are now. I've got my extension added on here. This is just so that it clears in the Bronco. At least it clears in the Bronco how I have mine being built. So I've added about a 3-inch piece to the collector. Same with the driver's side, got a 3-inch piece. And so now these are all ready to weld up. I'll get these all welded up, and then maybe try and polish this so that they match a little bit, and then get them bolted back on the Bronco. Stay tuned. So what you guys just watched was I fully welded them, and then I polished them just quickly. I didn't do an incredibly good job. As soon as they get hot the first couple of times, they'll probably turn a goldy color anyway, but I just wanted to clean up the piece that I had added to each of them. So I'll show you guys what we got. So there they are. Lots of clearance on the driver's side. Lots of clearance on the passenger side. So my impressions are, for $100, I would buy these again in a heartbeat. It might have seemed like a lot of work, but I have like an hour and a half, 2 hours max into modifying these to fit on the Bronco, and I could never build these from scratch for that. And even if I was, you know, counting my labor in the total price, it would be nowhere near what a factory stainless set of headers for the early Bronco are. I think there's only a couple companies that make them, and they're like $500 or $600 if I recall. So only thing I really noticed was, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the bolt holes didn't line up very well, slotted them a little bit, and then the gaskets. So the gaskets that came with the kit, these are basically trash. They did not line up at all. So if you're gonna do something like this, plan on getting a new set of gaskets. I had a set because I bought a Felpro gasket kit for the whole motor, so I already had a set of gaskets, so I used the Felpro ones. These will go straight in the trash. The only other thing to keep in mind for anybody watching the video, so I have done an AX15 swap with a hydraulic clutch. So here is where your factory clutch linkage would have connected the pivot point. So I believe that this would have interfered if you had a factory mechanical clutch. That's not to say that you can't modify them in a different manner than I did to clear that linkage. I think it's probably perfectly doable. But I would encourage anybody to go this route if you were trying to do a build on a budget like we are. That was a great way to save a bunch of money, and I think you guys would all agree that that's a pretty nice looking header still, especially for under 200 bucks, even if you had to buy the piece of stainless for there and the gaskets, you would still be under $200 for sure. You would be. So if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to see the rest of the videos on the early Bronco. Should have the brake video coming up shortly. We ran into a snag, had to get some parts, but everything is here. So I'd like to finish the budget front disc brake conversion, and then we'll be starting the motor for the first time shortly. Just a quick test run before we start building the body. That's the big update, is that we've actually picked up a body, complete body, from Jeff's Bronco graveyard. So that'll probably be a series of videos as we start putting that together. But stay tuned. Thanks for watching.